Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is savoring, savoring life, and how much richness and nourishment is available to us just in the simple appearance and occurrence and experience of life from moment to moment. But before we get started, let's just take a minute to get present, and let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen just flooding your lungs and flowing into your bloodstream and nourishing every cell, every organ of your body. And as you exhale any tension, stress, fatigue, negativity. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And this time, imagine brilliant, bright light, lighting you up from the inside out, energizing, electrifying, illuminating your cells, your molecules, your electrons. And as you exhale any remaining tension, fatigue, negativity, stress. And now let's just gently press our palms together and really softly rub your fingers against your palms and feel that sensation. Really allow yourself to sink into your fingertips and feel all those nerve endings just tickling and tingling against your palms, and bring yourselves present right here, right now. Welcome, welcome. It's Friday. It's wonderful to be here with you. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. And today we're going to talk about savoring. And with the busy lives that we lead, I think that we rarely take the time to just stop and drink in the deliciousness of life and its many sensations and sensual experiences. So we can our senses are the vehicles through which we experience life, and we take them for granted as part of our everyday experience. And as we take things for granted, as we just go through our day, we don't take notice, and therefore can't really experience the appreciation for how rich our experience is. And we get wrapped up into the doing of life and the flow and the momentum of having to accomplish. And I don't know if anybody is putting in comments yet, but I just want to let you know that I'm not seeing them, even though I'm on Restream here. So if you are putting in comments, I apologize for not responding. It's just that I do not see them. So I want to look at taking a moment. Like, what does it look like to take a moment to just really appreciate? There we are. There's a comment. Thank you so much, Rosalind. Good morning to you and happy Friday, all. What if we just take a moment right here, right now, to good morning, Robert. Great to have you here. Thank you for chiming in. If we take a moment to just focus on our breath, but this time as we focus on our breath, breathe in through your nose, but put your attention on all the sensations that you're feeling as you breathe in through your nose, just for a second. And allow yourself to trace that oxygen as it moves into your nasal passages and go back to your throat. Feel it, just feel it. And what I hope that we can engage in together is marveling at these sensations that are happening all the time that we don't even pay attention to. Just take a moment and allow yourself to presence yourself to the sensation and the temperature of the surrounding air on the skin of your face. I have more skin to be to be feeling the atmosphere on here, like through my whole head and my face and my neck. But feel that. Good morning, Irma. Welcome, welcome. Wonderful to spend Friday morning with you guys. So just allow yourself to feel the sensation. Like, what is that like? I'm the room where I'm sitting is a little bit cold, and so I'm feeling some evaporation of moisture on my skin, and I all these different areas that when I allow myself to focus my attention, it gets drawn from place to place with all these sensual experiences. Good morning, Tammy and Andrea. Welcome, welcome. Great to have you here. And good morning, Dennis. We're having a sensual experience this morning to allow ourselves to really appreciate what it is to have the experience in these physical bodies of life, and to savor this, like to drink it in and allow it to nourish you. So what, we're tasting and hearing and feeling and seeing and smelling, and then there are inner sensations of fullness in our hearts. And good morning, Pat. Good afternoon, Pat. Wonderful to have you here. So we're just allowing ourselves to take a moment to just savor the experience of being here, physical and alive, and and just kind of like a timeout from all the hustle and bustle. And good morning, Stephanie. Wonderful to have you here, bringing ourselves present to just the deliciousness of presence, of whatever our experiences are. Because so often we're just in this physical vehicle, we're driving it 90 miles down the highway in it, without recognizing, hey, the upholstery is really awesome, and how, what a smooth ride, or what a bumpy ride, or I can feel the wind on my face as I roll down the window. So there's so much to experience if we just allow ourselves that moment. And it for me anyway, and I wonder if that's so for you, taking that moment is really revitalizing, that it's invigorating, that it's enlivening. Why? Because we're actually connecting to the experience of life. And so Rosalind says, savoring the day by taking the day off from work. Awesome. Good for you, Rosalind. Looking forward to the weather and relaxing outside. Beautiful, beautiful. Good for you. I don't know. Here it's pretty brisk outside still, but I feel spring on the horizon, and spring is all about new life, right? And we have the ability to generate the experience of new life in any moment simply by connecting to the experience of life, the experience of atmosphere, of tactile sensation, of taste, of smell, of sound, of inner experiences. Robert says, question, which body does feeling come from? Physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual? Well, I'm going to venture to say right now, Robert, that what I'm talking about when we connect in this way to savor that, that all the bodies are engaged, right? Because we have the physical sensation And when we connect to, at least for me, when I connect to that savoring, it becomes an emotional experience, and it lifts me spiritually and lightens my thinking. So it, for me, it's a really comprehensive package, and maybe that's what makes it so incredibly rich. So Rosalind says, replying to Robert, it is felt, all of them, depending on how present you are. Exactly. And that's the whole idea of the savoring, because as we allow ourselves to just drink in the deliciousness of the sensation, the presence, the experience of being, animating this physical form and all the wondrous gifts that it gives us, it's just very complete. And I think maybe the thing that makes it so wonderfully delicious is the fact that when we run, we're driving down this highway of life at 90 or more miles an hour, we're not paying attention, right? We're not allowing ourselves to really savor. And there's a richness in that savoring, to me. It's interesting, like in meditation, I am just realizing now, as I'm reflecting on my experience of meditation, usually for me it's been mental. It hasn't been really diving in and experiencing the deliciousness, like the appreciation for the physical. And there's something about this savoring thing that elevates the physical, not just observing what's going on, but immersing into that and through it, and expanding out from it, that that is really enlivening. So Rosalind says, or Robert, do you mean to say the mind is feeling the experience, the I am, the soul is having the experience? So Robert says, so it starts into the physical and goes through the rest. Well, they say there are many, all roads lead to Mecca. So I think that in this case, we could get there from any direction, but I think that there's something really, really, really special about taking the physical inroad to say, I'm having this physical experience. Let me immerse myself into that and savor it. It's bringing an appreciation. So it's bringing all of these things into a coalescence that creates a greater unity, because we have these physical forms. It's not an accident, that we have this experience. And how often do we really, really allow ourselves to feel immersive in it, to indulge in it, to savor and cherish and enjoy it? So Robert says, yeah, kind of like that. And Dennis says, I'm savoring the deliciousness of an individual. Exactly. Exactly. And Robert says, interesting point of view. So yeah, I wonder, just try it experientially. For me, when I meditate or have meditated in the past, I have accessed a state of calm and quiet that maybe is transcending the body rather than being incorporating the body somehow. And maybe that's a limitation to the way that I've meditated previously. But in celebrating the deliciousness of our physical experience, the sensations of it, and recognizing how miraculous it is. For me, it's taking me to an upliftment, a place of greater vibrancy, of greater joy, exuberance. I'm wondering if this is the feeling for you. If we get out of our heads and just feel a sensation and understand how freaking miraculously incredible it is that we can have these sensations, the simplest thing, the simplest thing. How amazing is that? That I can feel this experience. That there are mechanisms in my body and being that allow me all of this sensual data to to through which to experience and interpret the world, and now to just sort of step back from the interaction with everything to the simple fact that, oh my gosh, this is this in itself, rubbing my fingers together, feeling that sensation. How incredible and amazing is that if I allow myself to just feel that feeling? It's interesting, as I'm closing my eyes and feeling my fingertips rubbing together, I'm feeling a sensation in my spine. And as I can start to appreciate that, it moves into my heart. It moves into this burst of incredible energy and appreciation on a visceral level in my physical body. I don't know if you're experiencing anything like that, but I'm finding it to be a really rich thing for me anyway right now. I hope that you're experiencing that as well. Rosalind says, if objects are really atoms vibrating at a high frequency, which looks still, exactly. We are ultimately energy. But how amazing that our energy is harnessed in something that we can interpret with our whole body and being. And Robert says, getting out of our heads and into our hearts. Exactly. It's interesting, I realize that, again, through meditation, typically what I've tried to do is to get to this place of calm and presence through my head. And this somehow is connecting me. It's like plugging in all the circuits in such a way that I'm connected with life itself, like being a vehicle for life expressing through this physical form. Rosalind says, look still to us, then is sensation just an exchange of energy? I think it is, Rosalind. I think that sensation is an exchange of energy. Thought is an exchange of energy. Our communication is an exchange of energy. And this is that, it's happening on all different dimensions of physicality. So when we rub our fingers together, or when we take a breath that we're feeling moving into our body, that is an exchange of energy that then may trigger other sensations and other thoughts and other feelings. And all of that is an electrical sort of energetic exchange and circuit. And so I think Maggie's enjoying it. She's making all these wonderful, delicious sounds, right? We can drink in life in so many ways. And the thing is just taking the time and putting the attention to be able to do that, which is something that we rarely do. And there's such, in a way, that if we can presence ourselves to how miraculous it is that we have these sensations, that we are able to take a breath. There is a joyful blissfulness about that. I think, like, it's miraculous, and it's a way that we get to presence ourselves to the miracle of life. So So Tammy says she's very vocal today. She is. I think it's the topic, because she's not generally this vocal. And so I think maybe she's feeling that vital energy, as we're generating it together, she's experiencing it too. And Rosalind says, so the exchange of energy doesn't have to be between two objects physically touching. Exchange is happening in the quantum realm. Yes, there's a constant exchange. And you guys probably are familiar with the butterfly effect. And the notion there is that a butterfly flapping its wings on the other end of the world impacts, could be connected with tidal waves on the other side of the planet. So it's all connected. And if we can imagine, and I like this imagining, and there's something to say in new developments of science that it may be true that there is nothing such as space, that really what we perceive as space is this interconnected web of energy. They used to call it, what did they used to call it? I'm not sure. I'm not accessing the word right now, but that there is this field, this constant field through which we move. And if we can imagine that we move through this field, then every motion affects the field in a grander sense, that there's no such thing as empty space, that everything affects everything else. And so our exchange of energy here in this moment, by presencing ourselves to these sensations and creating the emotional, mental, physical, spiritual connection, is impacting the entire field. And when we think, there's a thing in physics, quantum physics, that it talks about how an action here impacts, like with twin particles, that if those twin particles are separated on other sides of the universe, that something that impacts this particle in this moment at the same identical moment impacts the particle that is on the other side of the universe. And this is actually something, interestingly, it's validated in quantum physics, but it's something that is in Kabbalic lore, Kabbalah, the writings of Kabbalah, that this is the understanding of the universe, that we are interconnected and everything affects everything else. So when we elevate our awareness, when we presence ourselves to the miraculous, which is around us and in us and through us all the time, that we are presencing that and impacting the entire field by elevating ourselves. And when we debilitate ourselves, we're also impacting the field. I believe that light has more velocity. I'm just going to say that. I'm making that up, but that's what I choose to believe, that light trumps dark all the time, every time. And so if we get to we get to uplift ourselves and enlighten ourselves, bring light into ourselves, we're bringing light into the world. And Robert says a butterfly flapping its wings in one corner of the world can generate a tornado at the other end of the world. True. Everything is interconnected. Exactly. And I kind of love this notion of swimming in this sea of energy, that as I move, that whole sea of energy is rippling through the universe. And this is a way that we can serve simply by being joy, and by being blissful, and by being connected, and by fulfilling our visions and our purpose and our dreams, that we can impact, and we do impact, the universe. And so, isn't it lovely that we can savor and enjoy the delicious flavors of life, and the scents and sounds and sensual experience of being spirit animating the physical, and and uplift the world. I find these morning times with you to be so enriching, because in speaking these things with you, uh, I'm generating the experience for myself as well. I hope you're doing the same, to allow yourself to just be scintillated and stimulated and tickled and nourished and nurtured by the sensations of life moving through us. We can, if we do this together, look at what we can be generating in the world. It's just delicious. It's just such a wonderful, wonderful treat. And Robert says, yes, we're a drop of water in the sea of life, and each action we take ripples through the whole ocean. Exactly, exactly. And so as we dance, literally the world dances with us, right? In response. So maybe more dancing. And that's how I see this conversation about savoring and the deliciousness of life, and allowing it to nourish and nurture us, uh, as it's dancing with life, with the experience of it, in a very, very literal and hopefully joyful way. So it's a great way to end the week and start the weekend, is with some savoring and delightful, delectable deliciousness of our senses, that most times, we don't even put our attention to. So Rosalind says, I missed your morning show on the weekend, Mira. So I started watching some of the older shows. The depression thing, checking in with self every hour using a timer, was a tip from your other show on the topic of depression. Yeah. So thank you, Rosalind. Thank you so much for checking into other shows. I have recently gotten them all transcribed, and am looking to compile bits and pieces, and put together a course, a coaching program, like maybe an 6 or 8 week course that focuses on some of the real special ones. So if you guys have any favorites where that you think would be wonderful to compile into a course that we can flesh out more fully, I'm really interested in your feedback. You could DM me. That would be great, with your suggestions. Based on things you've said, Rosalind, I'm thinking the depression one, and the Dickens process, and maybe some other ones. Maybe I was thinking maybe one on money, maybe one on suffering. But the show or the conversation that Rosalind is referring to is moving through depression, because one of the things that we tend to do is identify ourselves with our feelings. So, for instance, if we're going through a difficult time in life, we might start saying things like, I'm depressed, like it's who I am, first of all, and also believing that we are consistently depressed. And the fact is that we're not consistently anything all the time. We our moods and our perspectives and our thoughts move through and change. They may cycle. We may come back to an experience of depression with some regularity. However, and when we do that, then we say, oh, I'm depressed, and we reinforce that identity and that experience. The fact of the matter is that it's not always true, and one of the ways that we can prove that to ourselves is by, as Rosalind reminded us, we can set a timer and for every hour and check in. How am I feeling right now? And notice, hey, you know what? I'm not feeling depressed. I'm feeling neutral, or I'm feeling angry, or I'm feeling frustrated, or I'm maybe even feeling okay or happy. And that check-in helps to diffuse the belief that I am depressed. I am always one way or another, for example. Robert says, smile and the world will smile with you. You know, before the masks, Robert, it was easy to test that theory, and I found it to be quite true. So, for instance, grocery shopping, to just smile at somebody, more often than not, they will smile back. And because there's energy that's being transmitted intentionally. When you smile at somebody, you're deliberately transmitting energy, and that person receives it, and it can be really uplifting. And saying something kind to someone, saying hello to someone, acknowledging someone, even a stranger in the grocery store, can transform a person's day. And it's so remarkable and powerful. And that's another way that we are rippling this ocean of energy in which we're all existing and living together. Robert says, definitely being here with you is a great introspection and enlightening time. That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Robert. It's enlightening to me in that it's bringing more light for me as well. And I'm so grateful to have these times to share. Robert says, even with the masks, it works as the expression of the face changes. Yes. So when we really smile, we smile with our eyes crinkle up, and you can see that somebody's smiling. So we get to practice really big smiles to greet other people and to transmit that warmth and intention. And Christina, hi Christina, great to have you here. Thanks for chiming in. And Christina says, I find smiling to be true even with masks on, because it is energy. Exactly. So when we elevate ourselves, we're better capable of elevating others, and the simplest things. So by presencing ourselves to, for me anyway, this joy of sensation, like to really recognize it and savor it, that is such a wonderful inroad to a sense of joy beyond serenity, like a sense of actual vibrant joy, which isn't something that I access regularly otherwise. Maybe dancing can help, moving around, music, but what elevates us elevates the world. And we do have the ability not only to, it is a gift that keeps giving, essentially, just like love is a gift that keeps giving. As we give it, we experience it more deeply. Same thing here with this experience of joyfulness. As we're able to experience it, we're expressing it in the world as well, and feeding the force field here, we can say. So even if we're doing it in isolation, it's still feeding the field. And so let's go into this weekend feeding the field with joy and vibrance, with connection, with vitality, and lots of love. So I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live each weekday morning on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page at 9 a.m. Eastern. And it's such a joy to be with you. And I invite you to check out the other wonderful programming in the community on Enlightened World Network. And until next time, savor the deliciousness of the life that you're living, the sensations, the simple things, and the miraculousness of our ability to experience being here in the physical together.